Hey, everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins, a.k.a. the Beauty Pair.
Hey, look, people came out with their sexiest man alive, and once again, for the 32nd year running, second place, baby.
Oh, I didn't even get an honorable mention this year.
Patrick Dempsey, who's
30
not even working in television, I don't think, anymore. But
Is
okay.
he got it again? Like
Yeah.
he got it he got it before, right? Like
I think so.
2001? Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was McDreamy.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're here, Dynamite Show. Thank you all for watching us on YouTube and supporting the Patreon. And I understand this is going to be in the free feed as well this week. So if you are listening on the free feed, it's just $5 a month to sign up for the Patreon. You get to hear us every week on Thursday mornings and all kinds of.
Should I only give my free effort then, as opposed to my $5 effort? Okay.
No.
Good.
Give like a $10 effort to show people what they're getting for their money.
Okay.
And this was the show, man. I gotta say, we've been kind of down on this show for a while, and I thought tonight. I mean, there was rumors out there that last week that there was a meeting after the show, and that they didn't. I think it was reported by Fightful. That nobody was happy with the effort, and they changed a bunch of stuff that they had planned for this week, and then this week, throughout the week, we got a bunch of matches. Now I want to say, we got what I think we all assumed was going to be the main event, but it wasn't. It was the opener, MJF and Daniel Garcia world title match. That if you only watched Dynamite last week.
Yes.
You saw Daniel Garcia. I'm assuming, I don't have my notes in front of me, but he was probably in a skit arguing with Matt Menard and wanting to do his dance. And you have not seen him win a match on Dynamite, I don't think, in 2023. He had one win on Rampage, because I was there. I saw it in Winnipeg over Brody King. And that he wasn't even supposed to win that match, but there was an injury and he was a replacement. And yeah. So that's the last time he won. And here he's getting a world title match. Now, to be fair, on Raw, they did the same thing. They had Sami Zayn get a world title match, and he hasn't had a win over anyone but JD McDonough since March. So, you can say what you want about that. But they booked this match. They set it up on Rampage. They had a really good promo package, I thought, that aired on Collision and Rampage, or there might have been different ones, but they were similar in tone. And essentially, MJF is now a fighting babyface champion that's taken on all comers, and we'll get into his promo in a minute. But and Garcia, is trying to prove that he's a pro wrestler, even though he spent the whole match trying to dance. I
guess Menard and Parker aren't having issues anymore either, because they just kind of
not with each other, but
they did on Rampage, as I recall.
Yes. Yeah, they did, because Garcia or Parker is hitting on Ruby, and I guess Menard's jealous or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
His nipples aren't hard when he's watching them flirt, so he gets in between them. I think Matt Menard's whole reason for existence right now is just to try to break Renee in the interviews. That I can't really see any other purpose for him, but so we had that, and we had a bunch of matches on Rampage and Collision that were okay, good, maybe even, but nobody watched them. They didn't feel important at all. I heard somebody say there's connective tissue between the shows. I don't really know what that means, but
you don't know what that means?
Well, no, I know what it means, but I don't really know what it means in the big picture, is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Like, even though they think it matters and they're doing the right thing, nobody's watching it, so it doesn't matter.
Yes. What will happen is wrestling fans will give them credit for continuity.
Yeah.
When only 300,000 people are watching either show. And it's like, okay, great, but it's not doing its job. It's not bringing in audience, and it doesn't matter if you do the carryover stories in there. What those two shows need is they need different hooks for people to watch again, so that they can build something over there, so that people will then get interested in those two shows, will get hot. Because as you sit here talking about that, I'm trying desperately to remember Collision, and I don't think I watched Rampage. So it's one of those things.
FTR and
yes, I recall that.
Yeah, LFI against Big Bill and.
But what I'm saying is, when it was Punk's Playground, it felt different. It felt like a completely different show rather than just 2 more hours of stuff.
Well, I will say, I mean, you get Miro, you get Ricky Starks,
Yeah,
you get
different
FTR.
people on there.
Yeah, yeah. So, and this is, Dennis has a good point. Rampage is an easy hour of watching. I mean, that's it. It's an easy hour. That's its plus. It's an easy show to watch. You forget about it as soon as it's over. If you miss it, you didn't miss anything. But if you decide to watch it, you're going to enjoy it probably. So, and there were some real good matches on Rampage. I think Penta and was that the one with the 4-way luchador match? I think Penta and Vikingo and Commander and
I didn't
someone
watch
else, or maybe it was a 3-way. Yeah, there was that. There was there's a women's match that was actually really good. Emmy and Willow. That was really good.
I thought that was Collision, but maybe I did.
Oh, maybe no, you're right. You're right. It was Collision. It was
because I saw the Emmy match.
Sky Blue had a match on there, and it was actually good. Because I made the comment, I actually thought the Sky Blue match on Rampage was better than the Sami Zayn match on Crown Jewel, which I would have never thought that in a million years, but that was my opinion. So
I'll let you have it, but
yeah,
I think
I mean, it was good. Watch it and tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, cool.
You didn't see it. But no, like, so we had these shows.
I did see the Sami Zayn JD McDonough match though, and that wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. No, it wasn't. It was, it's a fine match, and the women's match was a good match. So I wasn't a Sam on Sammy. I was more putting over the women. Like, it was a good match. Like, I was shocked actually. Who was it? God, it was Marina Shafir, Sky Blue and Marina Shafir. They had a real good match. So, so yeah, we got these shows, and I thought it was interesting. We'll get into Dynamite in a second, but the big news this week was that NXT signed a deal with the CW, and there's conflicting reports about exactly how much they're getting, but I think the consensus is probably somewhere in the range of 25 to 30 million for a show that is doing fairly similar ratings to Dynamite right now. Probably doubling Collision and Rampage. So the idea that AEW is going to get $200 million a year, I mean, that seems farcical right now. I did some math.
Wait, what? The $1 billion deal's not coming? 200 million?
I don't think
for
so.
5 years each? So.
Yeah. I did a show with Garrett on yesterday actually, and we called it Broken News, and we talked about this, and I did some math on the show, and I came up with, I think, like, if you're using the NXT money as a base, they're looking at probably somewhere in the range of $60 to $70 million a year for their 3 shows. And
together or each?
All together.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't include streaming, and streaming is pretty valuable. So if they can get a separate streaming deal, that might be as much as another 25 million. But 60 to 70 million is not enough to cover. I don't even think it's enough to cover their payroll. No. Now, of course, they get live gates, and they get pay-per-view and all that stuff. So they have other revenue sources, but nowhere near what I think they would have got if they would have signed a deal 6 months ago. So, and this is probably as much to do with the overall television landscape as it does with AEW in particular, I would think. But I mean, AEW in particular, if they were hotter, they would get more money, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I tend to think, look, I hesitate to actually bring this in, but when Fox was asked about renewing SmackDown, the Murdoch kid who did it basically turned and said, the audience doesn't bring in good advertisers.
Yeah.
And they don't spend money. I mean, basically they don't bring in good advertisers, but that might also be that Fox thought that because they were going to make this part of a sports package, they were going to get more Tiffany advertisers to bring in, so they had higher expectations. So I will grant that. Look, it's one of those things where I think people in our industry bubble love to talk about rights deals and how much money these things are going to make and live sports because they want wrestling to be very, very successful because they work in it, but not because of that, but they also care about the business, and they think, wrestling could be a hot product. Wrestling is the one product that is judged on potential more than anything else. versus the actual on-screen product. It's amazing, especially when you're talking about the sports landscape. Because everybody knows what they're getting when they're getting hockey or basketball or, well, maybe not hockey so much, but basketball, football, baseball, the big three. Hockey, they've actually done like TNT has actually tried to do a really good job of turning that into almost the NBA style show in terms of their pregame show and making it enjoyable to watch and things like that. Wrestling's a crapshoot because you're either going to get, you could get the Attitude Era, you could get the indie era. Someone's going to say something stupid. Some angle's going to happen that's going to piss people off. It's a hard. I mean, it's a hard business to sell ads for because also TV stations don't like their audience. I don't know what it is, but it's like one of those things where it's like Fox thought they were going to get BMW and Mercedes-Benz to sponsor wrestling when really the audience just wants Mountain Dew, Snickers, and Doritos. So, and you know what? There's nothing wrong if you know that that's what your product is.
And what's the stuff they sell in NXT? Isn't it like because I don't get it up here, but I saw it's like penis enhancers or something, or
you'll get the occasional like local ad or whatever. Like Raw still has ads for on direct TV.
See Alex?
Bug Assault, which is a gun where you shoot salt at flies.
Oh no, I know what it was. It was Metamucil. Was a big advertiser on NXT. Because
did they get Metamucil for NXT? Because that actually fits the demo.
Yes,
at least. I mean, I'll take that. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. So
it's like every wrestling podcast had either hymns or Blue Chew or whatever. I mean, in my life on Shake Them Ropes, I've gone through all. I had Roman, I had 4 hymns, and I had Blue Chew, all as sponsors. Nothing but dick pills for our audience. So
I just hear when I listen on our free feed, I usually just hear stuff for like sports pods. So I don't know. I think it's just tailored to what you're probably Google searching. Yeah. And no, I know you're talking about ad reads. All right, let's get into this show. As I mentioned, we kicked off with the world title match, but first we had another cold open, and we've done this a few weeks in a row, and it was Toni Schiavone, and he brings in MJF. So we started and ended the show with MJF. And, I last week did a pretty good number. So I think they realized that, keeping MJF all over the show is a good idea because he's one of the only TV draws they have. So he shows up and immediately takes a call from Adam Cole. And he says, throw it up on the video screen so he can just cast from his phone. And Cole's on the screen. His beard is even longer than it was last week. It's almost as gray as mine.
Oh, yeah. It's very gray. That's the thing I noticed. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, man.
And I mean, he's looking like, every bit of like 45, even though I think he's like 34.
What is it with 30 somethings in the gray?
I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like when I was a kid, it's like you didn't get gray until you were around 50. And now I'm like, and now I hit my mid 40s or when I hit my mid 40s, I started looking at all the 30 somethings start having a lot of gray in their beard. I'm like, I know life is tough, but man, I never embrace it.
Yeah. I don't know, like, and I've never seen gray in his, but the beards usually get gray before the rest. You saw Foley on NXT; he's got the full gray beard and his brown hair.
It's almost Santa season for Foley, so yeah,
true. I know. I almost got him on the Grandpa Des show one year, but he had shaved his beard, and he said I would have done it otherwise. I was gonna get him on and introduce him as Santa. Yeah, I wasn't even gonna like say it was Mick Foley. I was just gonna call him Santa the whole episode. But anyways, so MJF is there, and he asks. Cole tells him, "You better take up Joe's offer because I don't want you to lose those tag team titles at Full Gear." And then he says, "And you're wrestling too much. You got Daniel Garcia tonight, and then of course that cues Daniel Garcia to show up." And MJF asks him, "Are we going to get the sports entertainer, or are we going to get the professional wrestler?" And Garcia says, "You're getting the wrestler." And then all of a sudden we hear Adam, and Roddy rolls in and he says, he won't take Joe. He should take me as his partner. I'm a wrestling legend. And then Adam Cole like basically hangs up. Or no, he doesn't hang up yet. MJF just looks at him and walks away. And then Roddy says, "See, that's what the devil would do. The devil would just walk away." It's like, what? And then Adam Cole hangs up, and Roddy says, "It's time to show the world, remind the world who I am, and that's a wrestling legend." And then he, the scene fades, and that's the last we saw of Roddy, maybe. No giraffe. It was I think Cole and the Kingdom was there. I don't remember if I saw them. Did you? Did you
Kingdom?
see? Yeah, were they there?
Yeah, they were backing him with the
wheelchair. Okay, yeah. I didn't even notice them. Yeah, Dennis, he escaped Roddy's house a couple weeks ago. He left. He walked out. He got mad at them about something. I think it was like peanut butter sandwiches or something.
Yeah,
and
crust on peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah, and that was enough. He had enough of being who is the guy? James Caan to Roddy's Kathy Bates, and he just left. So MJF comes out, and I don't know if you noticed, but when his music played, there's normally that huge pop, and he comes out, and it sounded kind of muted. Like, was that just me? Maybe it was a sound mix, or did he not seem quite as over as he usually is? Or
MJF, he seemed as over as he
was.
It
could have just been me, because I noticed later in the match, and when he did promos and everything, he was, but just when he first came out, like there's normally that huge pop, and I didn't kind of hear it. So, but Portland, I think they got about 5,000 people there, but it's a big building. So, it might have been hard to kind of get that mix right, like right at the beginning. But anyways, we got MJF and Daniel Garcia for the world title. There was a little bit of, I heard people like talking about this match, and some people weren't sure if it was a title match or if it was, just a, whatever they call them, the contenders matches or whatever, but they probably should have just made it a, whatever they call that.
Title eliminator.
They should have just had it be a title eliminator match. Like, I don't know why it was a title match, but either way, it was a good match. Garcia kept teasing the dance. He did it like twice early on in the match, and Matt Menard stopped him both times. MJF was just totally playing to the crowd and doing like his just blatant cheating, eye pokes and everything. And the crowd would pop, and they're chanting, "He's our scumbag." And through the thing, and at one point he hits a thrust kick, and then he went for the Panama Sunrise, and before he hit it, he screamed at him, and then Garcia escaped from that. He went for a pile driver, then MJF collapsed, but Garcia was selling his arm that MJF had been working over the whole match to set up the Salt of the Earth finisher. Garcia hits a one-arm pile driver, and puts him in the Dragon Tamer, but MJF reversed it and got the Salt of the Earth, and Garcia tapped right away. And I thought the psychology in here was really good, because he was working over the arm the whole time, and then he ended up getting the win with the Salt of the Earth. So it was a solid wrestling match. Fans, they were into it, kind of. They popped for the finish, but I just thought, like, during the match they didn't really seem to care, because I think there was like zero doubt. I mean, there's nobody thought for 1 second that Garcia was going to win. So that was
and I think that was the problem with the match. I gotta be honest with you. I liked the match. But I will point out that they completely undermined the thesis statement of the match when Daniel Garcia goes, "I'm going to show you I'm a pro wrestler," and he goes out there and starts teasing the dance.
And he actually hit the dance at one point.
Well, he did the dance to lead to the feat, which I liked.
Yeah,
there are a couple things I really liked in this. I liked when he got when towards the end, when Garcia got a 2 count, and MJF kicked out, and he went right into a different, and he just like, "Okay, fine, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna stay on him," as opposed to doing the, as I like to call it, the NXT level 4 O face. "Oh my god, he kicked out of my move," that thing. Yeah. It's like he was focused on it. I liked that he danced, and that cost him the match.
Yep.
But maybe I was thinking too hard about this in some ways. When you compare this to the main event with Briscoe and Jay White, and both guys are fighting to get into that Full Gear main event, you needed to tease harder, I think, that Daniel Garcia was not only taking this more seriously, but that he could possibly win and get into that Full Gear thing. This is such a big opportunity for the
which is
character
why
in
I
this
thought
world.
I thought it should have been a title eliminator, because then you could have actually bought into the fact that maybe he's going to win.
And then the other problem was, because of the thesis statement, you're going to see me as a pro wrestler, whatever. He needs to break up with 2.0 in this match, in this aftermath, because he's never going to have more eyeballs than right now.
Yeah.
On this first half hour. And it just,
okay. I got a mini rant here about that, because you're wrong.
Oh.
No, you're wrong that he's never going to have more eyeballs.
Okay.
He freaking beat Bryan Danielson a year and a half ago. And way more people were watching Dynamite then. And he had the fans, like arenas, 8,000 people chanting, "He's a wrestler. He's a wrestler." The fans cared about Daniel Garcia, and they dropped the ball.
No, like, they dropped the ball twice. They dropped the ball here, and they dropped the ball in Buffalo when they needed to do it as well.
He should have slapped Chris Jericho and dumped the JAS and went with the BCC back then. And ever since then, and then they saved that moment for Sammy. Sammy got to be the one to churn on Jericho. Garcia, when he finally left Jericho, he did in a comedy skit backstage. Like, so, you know, the problem here that I think we went into, and I think you did and I did, and again, the match was, I enjoyed the match.
Yeah, we both enjoyed the match.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things.
But we looked at it as it was a Daniel Garcia story.
Yes.
It was actually an MJF story.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, I mean,
because MJF has been doing, he had that article in the Ringer with Cameron Hawkins, no relation, today, where it's like, oh, you know, this match is for, you know, to show people what Daniel Garcia can do and blah, blah, blah. Okay, does this mean I got worked? Probably, but at the same time, I'm like, well, this is what you're telling me the story is. You're telling me this is a Daniel Garcia story.
Or MJF is doing like, you know, he's completely changing his character, which we'll get into later.
Which he's also doing as well. But yes. Yeah. Well, when I said more eyeballs, I didn't mean in total. I meant, you know, in terms of their current viewership as it is. Let's put it that way. And we've seen that people tune out after the first half hour or so. So it's like, yeah, if you're going to do something with the kid, shut up. I have a heckler in the chat. So,
is that your friend?
Yes.
I can never remember the usernames. I finally got Dennis, so I know who that.
That's the person we refer to on Shake Them Ropes as Superfan Trisha.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah. No, I like her.
I don't, but continue.
I know. So after the match, to kind of play into what you were talking about, MJF offered Garcia a handshake. The fans immediately picked up on it and chanted sportsmanship. One thing I will also say, people thought that they were trying to set the fans up to chant "You're a wrestler" at Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
It never happened.
Nope.
Because these are different fans, and they want him. They would have been more likely to chant "Let him dance" than they would have been to chant "He's a wrestler." But
I thought there was a dueling chant earlier, but maybe I'm misremembering of the "He's a wrestler."
No, they were chanting "He's our scumbag."
Oh, he's our scumbag. You're correct.
Yeah,
you're correct.
Because I was listening to that too. It kind of sounded, "You're a wrestler. He's a scumbag." You know, he's our scumbag. Garcia was about to shake the hand, and then Parker Menard stopped him from doing it. And then MJF says, "You got to keep following them." And the crowd starts chanting, "Danny, Danny." Garcia goes for the handshake again, and 2.0 pulled him away, and he left with them. And he just walked away. And then MJF into the camera, you know, talking about how it's all about the future, and that's the future, and I'm the future, and whatever he was talking about. So it's similar to that interview you were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a thing that was making the rounds on social media, so it was explained to me by Anthony. I think he listens to the show. They do like a pose, and it was all the young stars of AEW. And it was in the same kind of thing that they used to do on record magazines.
Yeah,
they would show I didn't understand it until he explained it to me, and it kind of made sense. I mean, it was totally not not in character at all. But, you know, you saw, it was interesting the people they chose to put on there, though. You had Nick Wayne, you had Garcia and MJF squaring up, but you had Commander in there.
You had Vikingo, you had one of the parts of Private Party, I believe. I think you had Andretti in there.
No, I think it was Darius Martin or Dante.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. God, I hope they didn't have Brothers A in there. Yeah, and
no women in that photo, I don't think.
MJF being the one to claim sportsmanship is important because it doesn't even fit his babyface character. See, I think Yuta was in there as well. I think we're starting to think about, well, maybe we might be getting a Millionaires Club. That was the vibe I got from that, but I wasn't sure. But this I think might all be playing into either MJF is doing a complete and total character change, or he's working us and he's the devil. Like I've finally came to that conclusion at the end of this show, which we'll get to, but spoiler alert. But I don't see, I don't see anything in between, and I don't think he's the devil. So I mean, he might
why
be.
not? See, I could also see them do this where he thinks he's the devil, but he's not the devil.
Oh, so there's someone else setting all this up, even though.
Well, no, that might have been him in the beginning, and then it's like,
and someone took over.
Else. Yeah,
that could be, yeah. Because I mean, my working theory is still, live. I don't see anything that's disproven my working theory. So we'll get to that later.
Let's repeat it for the listeners.
It's Britt Baker.
Yeah,
that's what I think. So, but I mean, because we saw the devil again tonight, which we'll get to when we get to the end of the show. Keep teasing. Stick around to the end. You'll hear us talk about it. So we got an awesome video package for Mark Briscoe and Jay White, and it was basically just a Mark Briscoe promo. They showed footage from them meeting in the past. Jay White had no facial hair, and Mark Briscoe even brought that up, and he had just an awful haircut. And he says, "You're grown up now after sucking the teat of the professional wrestling industry and the big Sussex chicken in the big city, and I'm gonna whoop that ass." And I did not do that anything close to justice.
No, but Mark Briscoe stole the weekend in terms of the shows on AEW. Every time he's on camera, he kills it. Man.
On Rampage, he was incredible.
Yes.
On Collision, he was unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, I missed him so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to miss his brother too, but yeah. No, he was no, but I mean, but it's like his delivery even throws off like the one he did with Lexi.
Oh my God.
Killed me.
Yeah.
Because you could just see she's gonna corpse, and it's just got me laughing. And Lexi, I cannot devote whatever he said right there. It's just he's so perfect for professional wrestling, and he's such a joy to watch. So
interesting.
No.
Ziggler, Ali, etc. And that could lead to this. So Millionaires Club and New Blood for people on audio is what we're thinking. I'm thinking maybe, but no, I'm still going with my theory. But this was awesome. Briscoe was awesome.
Oh yeah, no, this was great. This is what pro wrestling should be.
He looks so much like his dad. Like now that he's like shaved, he's got the buzz cut and the beard buzz cut too. Like he just looks so much like Papa Briscoe.
I was trying to think. You've seen Jay White's dad?
Oh no, Papa Briscoe. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we get Darby and Sting against the Outrunners. Oh my God. Excalibur shouted out Jim Valley, former he guessed on the show one time. You can go back and look at it in the archives. That was awesome because he lives in Portland, and
then they buried Jim Valley. It was great.
They buried him, and I'm sure Jim will love it when he hears it. And this match, I was just expecting 2 moves and the match would be over. We actually got like a little 3-minute match with the Outrunners taking 90% of it, working over Darby, which was awesome. Sting wanders in, does his moves, and he ends up putting the Scorpion Deathlock on Truth Magnum, but like they did the pose like when they thought they had knocked Darby out. Oh man, they
also gave a little connective tissue with I think it was Turbo Floyd giving the Jake symbol when he had him in the position for the almost a DDT, but instead put him up in a suplex. I kind of dug that too.
Oh my God, those two guys.
Look, both the Boom and the Dynamite are big fans of the Outrunners. You people are just gonna have to live with that.
I'm gonna try to get them on this show. I talk back and forth with Turbo and DMs, and I'm gonna try. I'm just not gonna promise it. If it happens, it happens. But this had to be their career highlight.
I'm upset they didn't get an entrance. I gotta be honest.
Well, you know what? I mean, their entrance is pretty awesome. They have a speedboat. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
You've seen the video? Yeah. You got to watch OVW TV to get their full entrance. They're incredible. And you get flashbacks of Hogan, and Magnum looks like the love child of Hogan and Magnum TA. It's it was just beautiful. But yeah, he got the story. And the funny thing is like there's no point to this match at all, other than they just kept pointing out that
they
it was
were
Sting's return to
perfect
Portland.
geeks. They were perfect geeks for the seriousness of Darby and Sting, and that's what I liked about this. And
Darby sold for them, like I mean,
and again, I'm going to juxtapose this with something else on this card. The Bollywood Boys got jack squat, and they're a fantastic tag team. If you've seen them in Defy, especially their Defy work, and I'll rant a little bit about that.
They didn't even advertise it. Like I didn't even know that match was happening. They advertised.
Good thing you did, because if you got any emotional involvement in that, it was gone in 20 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? I don't really have a problem with that, because the Guns are wrestling for titles on pay-per-view, and the Bollywood Boys are local enhancement talent. So
are they overexposing Sting? No, they are milking Sting. That is what they are doing. They basically tonight was here's the new entrance spiel for Sting.
Yeah,
we're going to make him a legend, and we're going to make every single appearance by him a big deal type of a thing. So yeah.
And the crowd loved it, and he went around and slapped hands with everybody. They cut away right before they got to where I knew Jim was sitting. So I was hoping to see Jim on camera, but like they literally cut to commercial right as they were coming around the corner, because Jim posted pictures of where he was, and you could see the stage in the background. So he was on the opposite side of the ring from the stage, and that's exactly where Sting got to right before they left. So you don't get to see Jim on TV. I guess maybe if you saw if you had the Fight TV, you might have got to see him. But yeah, it was cool. And like, I mean, they talked about the match, at Full Gear and the 6-man that's coming up, but they didn't really, like there's no setup for it, nothing to further that angle or anything. No Edge on the show tonight, no Christian. And next we got Toni Storm with Hikaru Shida and Tony Schiavone with Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm and Luther, and the screen was in black and white. Tony says, "Don't adjust your set." And Taz and Excalibur, we're talking about that later. Can you even adjust your set anymore? Like, I good question. I'm not.
Yes, exactly brightness sure. And other things.
Yeah. Yes. Toni Storm called him Mr. Schiavone, I think is what she said, or Schiavone, I think it was. The way I spelt it, so I would remember it, was Chavonne. Tony Schiavone points out that Hikaru Shida hasn't been pinned or submitted in 2023. She asks Toni Storm, "What happened to you?" And she says, "What happened to me is you." She said, "I was trying to become the first 3-time champion. That was supposed to happen at Wembley, and I couldn't make history, so now I became history." And she signs a contract, and she tells Shida, "You might have the title, but you'll never have the spotlight. It belongs to me." And then Shida signed, and she said, what will happen is what always happens. I'm going to beat you at Full Gear." And then Tony's mad at that. And she said, "There's a saying in show business, chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe." And then she goes to throw the shoe, and Shida slapped it out of her hand. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of like this. Like, I don't normally like these Toni Storm segments, but I thought this one was pretty good.
It was fine.
Yeah. That's exactly
it's one of those. It's one of those weird things where it's kind of like I really want the black and white world to just be in Tony's head, versus every time she's on screen with she has to live in reality occasionally. But no, I was fine with this. This was good.
My exact words, like the last 3 letters on this paragraph, was "this was fine."
Yeah.
So then you just said that. So
yeah,
I was overselling it when I said
there's there's nothing negative to say, but
no,
it's not a
put it this way,
positive. When she gets the belt, it's going to be hell on earth.
Saying this was fine for a Toni Storm segment is high praise for me. So
right,
that's yeah. All right, Swerve, Strickland, and Penta. Okay. Before I get into the match, I'll just point out some notes here. Alex Brahantes and Nana were at ringside. Excalibur told us that Rampage is going to be live this week. I have no idea why. It doesn't matter. I noticed here, and I guess it was there before, but there was advertising on the ring apron. I guess it's a video game, Fight Like a Dragon or something. Yeah.
Yes.
So I actually liked it. Like the coloring, the color scheme was really cool. It was kind of like silver, and it was different, and it kind of stood out. But they got a lot of advertising. I noticed all the DraftKings stuff and everything. But good for them. They get paid, right? This match was, the crowd freaking loved this match.
Yes.
And if you like lucha, this was a total Lucha Underground match. Like that's what this was. I mean, this was a match you would have saw in the whatever the hell they called that thing that they used to wrestle in on Lucha Underground. It's been a while since I watched
the Temple.
The Temple, yes, with Dario Cueto.
Yes, I've been to the Temple. It was nice.
Oh, have you? Well,
yeah, I went to tapers.
Didn't they also tape like a bunch of different game shows there too? Like I think
yes, it's
a
sound stage and stuff.
Yeah,
yes.
You can see it like when you know it. Like I when I first watched Lucha Underground, I was like, oh yeah, this is the place they did Rockstar and Excess. But oh my god, this match was like they just kept doing like the same moves to each other, and the crowd, like, they do chops, they do dives, they do kicks, they do punches, and almost like mirroring each other, and the crowd was just eating it up. And by the time they went to commercial, like they were at a frenzy. They came back, and then they kind of started doing like a match, and the fans were chanting, "This is awesome." Swerve tossed Penta in the turnbuckle, and then he crumpled to the ground. He hit a thrust kick, and the Swerve stomp while Penta was hanging from the ring. That had to hurt. Crowd's chanting, "Holy shit." Then he brings him back in the ring, misses a 450 splash. Penta does the arm breaker. Then he hit Made in Japan, but he only got a 2. Then Swerve hit a DVD, looked like he was going to do the arm breaker, but then he did like a wrist breaker. He just like stepped on his wrist, and that looked like it hurt. And then he went to the top and hit Swerve stomp and got the win. This match, I mean, sometimes I like these, sometimes I don't. I freaking loved it. Like, yeah, Penta versus Killshot, absolutely. I don't know. I'm gonna assume you didn't like it as much as I did, but
I did not like it as much as you did, but it was fine.
Yeah,
it was. Look, I always say I like more serious Penta, and this was more serious Penta. But yeah,
this was.
I'm never gonna get killer Penta back. I realize this. I've let.
This was actually the second best match on the show. This was the second best, in my opinion. I thought the main event was a level above this, but this was.
I actually liked Joe and Keith Lee a little bit better.
Joe and Keith Lee was real good too. I mean, really, the world title match.
I got no negative things to say. It was a good match, and the right guy won, and
Yeah, and then the post match I thought was even better. One small nitpick that someone pointed out to me on Twitter about it, and I don't even care. I'll mention it, but I don't care about it. So right after the match, Hangman attacks Swerve. Tony Schiavone's like just putting over that he's unhinged, he's crazy. I think he used those exact words. The security guards try to get in the middle. Hangman takes them out with chairs. Then he picks up Swerve, gives him a dead eye off the apron through a table, and then he just gets in his face and he's screaming, "You're a dead man! You're a dead man!" And the referees are pulling him off. The nitpick was, why did he wait until after the match?
Yes,
but I don't care. I got to see a great match, and I got to see a great angle after the match, so I'm happy. But yeah, logically,
I don't care.
We wouldn't even have saw the match.
I don't care as much as you do, but yes, it took him 2 weeks to get angry too. So there's your.
Well, no, I mean he should have been there last week.
Yeah.
Or on Rampage or Collision. That was the one. He should have been on Collision. And I hated. Well, he wasn't booked for the show. Fuck off. Pardon my French, but I mean, you know what? Like, Swerve wasn't booked for the show the week that he, last week, and he came out and taunted Hangman. The week that he broke into Hangman's house, he actually was booked for the show, and he didn't show up because he went to Hangman's house instead.
Here's the problem. Here's my main problem with it, is that this should have, in terms of the narrative structure of this story, this should have happened last week. Yes, and this week should have been a promo. I think we're gonna get the promo next week on the.
Or we should have got maybe Tony saying they got to be kept apart until the pay-per-view or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine too. But it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, it's really putting a lot of somewhat pressure on Hangman, and also AEW to come in next week with a promo. Yeah, no, he was banned from ringside.
Was he? Did they say that?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh well, I mean, if they did that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm waiting for a Hangman promo to match the evilness of cutting a promo on a child that wasn't in the crib.
We saw someone else cut a promo. We saw someone cut Hangman's promo for him. I think it was Alex Abrahantes. He cut Hangman's promo for him in building up the match between Penta and Swerve. I think it was on Rampage.
Yes.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, Penta likes family.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you broke into a man's house and you threatened his family, and Penta likes family.
Yes, Penta likes family. That's
Yeah. All right.
Wu-Tang loves the children and Penta likes family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point about the arm breaker. I always think of that when he does that too, because I mean, you remember when he did it to the three? Was it Kyrie,
Yeah, it was Kyrie,
Io
Io,
Shirai,
and his sister.
Saray, right?
I don't think it was Saray. I think it was
Or Asuka? It was Asuka.
was it Asuka? Was it
I think
Kana?
so.
I
I think
don't
it
think
was
so. I thought one of them had a sister, and
Sam would know.
either
Sam would
Kyrie
know
or
what
Io
year it
has
was.
a sister,
But
and
she
it was the
broke. She
sister.
broke. Yeah,
Yes.
he broke all three of their arms in a match, and then they
Yes.
fought him anyways. That was awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
all
Angela
right.
Fong trio is what I remember them as. Yes. Black Lotus or whatever the name was. Yeah.
They did say so. They probably mentioned it during the entrance because I always fast forward the entrances. So, we got a Alex Marvez scoops with Jay White, and he still has the Bang Bang belt. He said we took a vacation, but I tuned in to Collision. He said 8 o'clock Saturday night on TNT. So like a good pro wrestler, and he said and I heard
Get that plug.
MJF talking about a little app on the computer or something that and he made fun of him, and he says I'll play along and indulge it. The reason you're so high on Google Trends is because you spend all your free time searching for yourself. That was a good line. And he says no matter what happens and no matter what you do, Jay White's always been better than you, and everyone knows it. I'm truly elite, and I'll show it tonight against Mark Briscoe and MJF. Watch tonight and you'll see it for yourself.
I believe
Beautiful
he also
promo.
I believe he also made reference to the tofu promo as well in this.
Yes, he did.
At some
Yeah,
point. No, this was actually the first promo where I went, there you go. There's a money Jay White promo addressing all the little jokes and crap like that MJF's saying, and just basically coming back with scorn and hate. I liked it.
All
I
the
liked this
shit
promo.
I've talked about Jay White over the last year and a half.
Thank you, Mayu Iwatani. That's
Yeah.
I couldn't think of that either.
All right. Mayu Iwatani. I think I saw her a couple times last year. Yeah, this was good, and I'm kind of wanting Jay to win, even though I know he's not going to. Which I would have never believed I would say that, because I famously canceled my New Japan World subscription when he won the world title there.
Yes, and as you know, Paul Fontaine is a hater of Jay White.
And I paid for it the second he lost the title. I signed up again, and I've still got it to this day. And and I hate Sonata, but I don't hate Sonata. I'm just bored to tears by him. But
would you rather have Sonata or Evil as your champion?
God, that's a good question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah. Let's just move on.
Yeah. I would actually rather have Jay White than either one of them at this point.
Yes.
Renee sat down with Jericho and Omega, or not sat down, but stand up. And they start talking, and the Bucks immediately interrupt. And this was a lot better than last week, I thought. Matt says there's no room in our locker, so we have to change in a closet. I'm not even sure why they had to change, because they weren't booked for the show. He made fun of their Golden Jets names, and he said, another cool name was the Elite, the guys who started this place. And then Jericho didn't have your back when Powerhouse Hobbs was beating on you last week. And Jericho said it wasn't just you three, it was the four of us. And they all conveniently forget about Cody Rhodes. And Matt says, no, it was us that created it, and you just waltzed in and cashed another big check. And Jericho says, remember who you're talking to. Two of the greatest in pro wrestling history. Jericho and Omega can beat you. And Nick says, oh, yeah? He says, well, how about we have a match at Full Gear? And Jericho says, yeah, sure, but let's put a little more steam on it. When we beat you, we get that guaranteed title shot that you guys have. And then Matt says, well, let's up the ante. He says, we'll beat you right in the middle, and the Golden Jets will have to break up, and then we'll start doing the Elite again. Kenny acknowledges, you know what? If you're talking best tag team of all time, that's you. No question. But we can beat you. He said, I've done it before. We can do it. And if you really want to face us, we'll do it. And maybe after we beat you, you'll clean up your act and start acting like real adults instead of bitchy, whiny children. And then Jericho told them, we're going to take your asses to the woodshed and beat your spoiled little asses. And by the way, I have my own dressing room. And he smiles and walks away. This was good. Like I much better than last week. I thought the acting was fine. I don't know. That last line by Jericho was like completely unnecessary, but other than that,
it's a Punk tweak, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I watched this and I thought Jericho's playing this totally wrong. Jericho's a jerk in this feud.
Yes. I mean, they're all jerks
and he
except for
shouldn't
Kenny.
be. Well, no. Kenny's also a jerk because Kenny's sitting there and he's not stopping it.
True, yeah.
He's just kind of sitting there taking that, and then it's like, and then he goes, "I don't want to fight you," when he should have just said, "Hey, Chris, don't. They're my friends."
There's a
so
theory,
everybody's kind of a jerk in this.
There's a theory out there that the 4 guys that are, in the Devil's outfits or whatever they are, is the Elite.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I don't buy it, but thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would, there's a lot of things that would make sense if they were there, and I'm not exactly sure where they're going here, but yeah, someone says, Dennis said, are the Bucks going heel? I kind of think maybe they already have.
Yes.
But it's
but to me, the standout here was that it's like, man, this is Jericho as a babyface doing all this, and I'm just like, okay. It's like lighten up a little bit so that we can actually cheer for you. And it was it's interesting. It's just like one of those things where it's like I'm playing all 4 roles at the same time, kind of while I'm watching this. And I'm like, if I'm Kenny, I'm stepping in there because I think Chris is going too hard on my friends.
Yeah.
Chris is just, I'm the greatest thing ever type of. It's like, you have not changed from head of the JAS. You're just teamed with a different person right now.
You're an egomaniac.
Yeah.
And the Bucks are just whiny babies.
Exactly. The Bucks. Yeah. The Bucks should be saying, I think the Bucks should have more pride as opposed to being more passive aggressive. I think it's one of those things where it's like, we have the resume, we're good. And instead they're kind of playing the same kind of cocksure young guys they were 10 years ago type of thing, as opposed to like aged veterans who have like confidence in themselves. So this kind of, look, I didn't mind this, and I will take your praises to heart that, this compared to last week, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
But I watched this and I kind of went, okay, Chris is going too hard on being heelish, to the point where I think Chris might join the Callis Society eventually in that match.
Well, I think maybe it's going to be the Bucks, but we'll find out. It is interesting that they've booked a street fight for next Wednesday, and then Full Gear, which is 3 days later, is when this tag match is going to be. So that could play into the Bucks joining the Callis family, if that's what's going to happen.
Could also play into the end of that match too.
Yep, and that match, I'm sure Dave, the starting scale is going to be 5 stars.
Dave's already given it 5 stars. Yeah, you're correct on that.
Yeah, at least. I mean, minimum 5. All right, next we got Keith Lee and Samoa Joe. So this for the ROH TV title.
Go ahead, make your joke. Make your joke.
I don't
about renaming the title.
Oh, what? Okay, so I wasn't going to say they should rename the title, but given what they did at the end, maybe they should. I'm saying they should introduce a new title and just call it, like, I don't know what the name of it would be, but it's basically the meat title, like the champion of the meat division. And they should just bring these guys out and have their big meaty men slapping meat matches and let the fans have their fun and chant meat and meat forever and meat. And
yes, because the fans have now gotten into the meat chant and their social media has gotten into the meat chant.
Yep. And they should just lean into it and do it. It would be the most over title they have.
And it shouldn't even be a title. It should just be a slab of beef that they pick up at a local butcher. And then they could just go home with it. They just sling it over their shoulder and walk up the ramp with a half a side of beef on their shoulder every week.
Yeah, and then you win. You get the sub. It's like the BMF title in UFC, but because the fans, like, at this point, anytime you get 2 big guys in there, and there's they got a few of them now. They got, there's some guys, Lance Archer could be in there, and Wardlow, and and freaking those Boulder dudes, and they got a lot of them. That guy in the Workhorseman, JD Drake. I mean, that might convince them to bring over Otis. There's gonna be guys coming in from all other territories.
We will find big fat men all over the place. Yeah, get them in here, or muscular men too.
That all said, the crowd at the start of this match decided, okay, we're gonna make this a meat match, and they start chanting meat. And at first,
they did want to
Joe
do a
and
meat
Lee
match.
we're not doing this.
We're not doing a meat match. We're doing a
Yeah.
Ring of Honor 2012 match instead, or whatever. No, I said, look, and this disappointed me, Paul, because I said anything other than 15 minutes of these two chopping each other will be a drastic disappointment to me. And and instead we decided that we need Keith to do, and we need athleticism out of Joe and Keith. And I did not want that. I wanted the meat as well.
But they had a good match. And they did a few of the things, like they would do the things where they would strike and the fans would be chanting meat, meat, meat. Joe, it was more when Joe was on offense that he was just, and he'd look at them while they were chanting, and like I think he might have even done those moves if they didn't chant. Like it was Joe.
There's almost contempt for your audience too.
Yeah,
Joe
I'm not having this.
Yeah.
And Lee was selling, and at first the selling wasn't great, but it got better as they started to sell the exhaustion, both of them, because they're hitting these like power moves and then struggling to get up. And I thought it was realistic in a way. So the end, Joe hit the Manhattan drop and a high boot and a senton, but Lee anticipated and hit a German suplex. Then he kind of collapsed, and then he hit a power bomb after that, and then he kind of fell over. Then he rolls over and pins Joe, but Joe got out of it, and then he picked up Joe to try to hit a Death Valley driver, but Joe put on the Coquina clutch, and Lee fought, and he was like, it looked like he was trying to get froth at the mouth, to try to, like, before he passed out. And then his eyes went back of his head and he passed out, and the ref stopped the match. And I don't know how long it was. Felt like probably, 12 minutes or something. Real good match. Like probably Keith Lee's second best match that he's had in AEW. I think the best one was the one where him and Swerve won the tag team titles. But this was his best singles match for sure.
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, I thought this was great. And someone made the point, like, with the not dyed hair is like good move for him.
Oh, great. Keith Lee is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he looks 50.
Yeah,
at least. And he looked in better shape here too. Looks like he lost like 30, 40 pounds. So good for him. So anything else you want to say about the match before we get to the post-match? All right. So post-match, Joe asked for a mic. He says, what stands before you is the greatest ROH TV champion of all time. And they didn't, I don't know if they said it in the match, but they mentioned it last week or on Collision or something.
They said in the match that he's the longest reigning television.
Well, he just broke the record, like between last week and this week. Like this should have been against Jay Lethal, like Kenny Omega got to face, MJF, but whatever. He says, but I didn't come here to merely be your TV champion. I said long ago that hunger is what defines the greats. Consider me hungry. As of tonight, I vacate the Ring of Honor Television Championship. And I'm like, I heard him say this, and I'm like, what? And the announcers at the exact same time I did said, what? And he lays it down in the middle, and he says, the next gold around my shoulder will be the AEW World Champion, whether you like it or not, Max. And the crowd pops for that, which is funny. Sam points out that he broke the record last Thursday, and he wasn't even on Honor Club.
He's not doing your mere little streaming service.
No, pay me.
That's why he dropped. That's why he dropped the title.
Yeah.
You got to kill this title. I think you got to kill all the Ring of Honor titles, to be honest with you, and kill Ring of Honor.
Is that what World's End is? Maybe.
I don't. It's not called ROH's End.
Final battle.
Final battle should be the final battle. But yeah, no, it's one of those weird things where it's like, I think you have him keep the title while he's chasing the world title. I do, because I think now vacating it makes that title worthless.
Yeah, because
that's a Dalton Castle title now, or whatever guy on Ring of Honor.
Shane Taylor.
Shane Taylor.
You're gonna have Shane Taylor and Keith Lee feuding over this title probably.
And I think I still think you got to do a little bit of work, not a lot, because Joe with his mouth makes himself important.
Yeah.
But you got to build that he can take that title from Max.
He needs to beat, like, I would say, what I would do is I would put him against Jay White, maybe like a week or two after Full Gear, and have him beat Jay White.
Okay, I can go with that. But yeah, that's the thing is, we know the aura of Joe is always going to be over. And we know that, he'll cut a promo and you'll be serious, and it's like, oh, this is going to be an ass-kicking match type of a thing.
Yeah.
But now you in the booking, you have to tease that he can win this.
Yeah, I mean they've done a really.
In
good
fact,
job
if in the Jeff Hawkins world, Joe would be my champ. But nevertheless,
yeah, I'm sure Sam's right. I'm sure we're gonna see the finals of the TV title tournament at Final Battle.
As long as it's on Honor Club, I'm fine with that. If it's on Dynamite, I don't want any part.
But then they're gonna announce a match on the Wednesday before Final Battle, and you know they're gonna announce 2 people fighting for the Ring of Honor title, and we're gonna be like, who, what, why? It's like, well, buy the Honor Club.
Cheeseburger versus.
Yeah, I might buy Honor Club actually.
R.D. Evans. I don't
just
know.
To get the pay-per-view and then, you know, maybe stick around for a while and watch it.
Yes, I know. Before anybody in the chat says, yes, I know R.D. Evans is not wrestling anymore. So stop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We got a promo from Orange Cassidy and Hook, although Hook didn't talk, but he said, Moxley's out of his mind. I didn't take you lightly. When the opportunity knocked, I didn't pick up the pieces of Rey Fénix. I picked up the pieces of the title that you dropped. But it doesn't feel the same. I need to beat you. I have to beat you to be the champion. And I know that be the champion that I know I am. And at Full Gear, I will beat you. And it was a good promo. It's really good.
I liked it. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And you say Hook didn't say anything, but he said a lot with his eyes.
The cold-hearted, handsome devil.
Those smoky eyes of the cold, handsome devil. Yes.
Pretty boy.
I didn't see what kind of chips he was eating, though.
Yeah, I didn't. Probably Doritos.
I think in Lay's. He's usually a Lay's guy.
Yeah, and
he likes the spicy nacho. Doritos.
Not the ketchup Lay's, or Renee would have been there trying to get at them.
No, you go all dressed also with Canadian chips, but yes.
Next we got the match you talked about earlier, the Guns and the Bollywood Boys, and the crowd was chanting for the Bollywood Boys. They barely got the name Bollywood Boys out before they were
310 to Yuma out. And I was just like, I watched. I went, what?
Yeah,
because I know Tony has more respect for these guys, or he should.
Sam pointed out earlier in the chat, I'm going to try to put it up here, that they better get a ROH match out of that.
I agree.
Yeah,
put them in the TV title tournament together.
Or let MJF squash them and hit them with a kangaroo.
No, again, and it's also one of those things where I'm just like, you can't find 2 local workers to take a 310 to Yuma. You have some guys who can actually work to do that.
That's what they. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what they did.
That's crap. But, I'm sorry.
I mean, you know what? Like this is
Bollywood Boys should have vetoed that. Hell no.
This is why I don't want. This is why I don't want the Grizzled Young Vets in AEW. Because I'm afraid that they're going to be doing stuff like this rather than kicking ass and winning titles. But I guess we'll see what happens with them.
Grizzled Young Vets are not there to kick ass, but they will be there to cut promos. So it'll be great if they come in.
Nobody cuts promos in AEW on a regular basis except for
I know that's a sad part.
Yeah. So, but maybe they'd be awesome on Ring of Honor. And if you pay the $10 a month, you get to see them a lot. So, nothing much to that. It was basically just set up for the promo that they're about to do. And Colton grabbed a mic. He called Max a liar. You're not a generational talent. All you do is tell sob story after sob story. Did LeBron James go to the NBA and say, not yet? No, he walked in the league and ran that league from day one, just like us. We were made for TV. We've been doing this for 3 years. Former AEW tag champs. We're about to be Ring of Honor tag team titles because we're generational talents. And then Austin says, Max, you're an embarrassment as a champion. You've defended the title once in 3 months. That's actually wrong. It was twice because he beat the Dark Order and he beat the Righteous, but whatever. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Exactly. Only friends you have are left in the crowd. And he says, I hope you pick one of these fat pieces of shit as your partner and we can send them on a ride to the 310 to Yuma. At Full Gear, the ROH tag team titles go back in the hands of a real team. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Guns up. Now I say all that. I could barely hear what they were saying because the crowd hated these guys. And it was good heat. Like this was like, they want to see these guys get their asses beat. And I hope they win these titles. I don't think they will, but I hope they do.
All I could think of when they did that, you pick one of these fat pieces of.
I was expecting Brian's friend Sean.
Well, not only that, but I was thinking the response from Max is, I didn't pick any old big fat piece of shit. I picked Samoa Joe. And Joe just beats the crap out
Not
of
that
Max.
fat piece of shit. We didn't want that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like one of those backhanded compliments. Where I picked the baddest, fattest piece of shit on the planet.
This
Samoa Joe.
wasn't quite Dominic Mysterio heat, but it was pretty darn close.
Oh no, it's great. And look, if you call the crowd fat, they're gonna boo, even though some of them are probably fat.
Well, you know the story, right? MJF got asked Brian Alvarez to like hold his belt, so Brian gave it to his friend Sean. And then so he had the belt, and then he said, so on somebody's birthday, and he says, it's Sean's birthday. He says, I got a present for you. And Brian declared Sean one half of the ROH Tag Team Champions.
Yes, I remember this.
I was half expecting, because they're in that area, was Sean's gonna come out.
They're in Portland, not in Seattle.
That's close enough. It's like an hour's drive.
It's a bit of a drive, but
is it?
Okay.
Or no, it's more like 4 hours. But
yes.
All right, but this was good. It was excellent promo. Those guys are great. And MJF was watching the promo backstage, and Joe showed up behind him, and just kind of nodding. Hey, I offered you your partner, and MJF just looks at him and walks away.
Love that.
Yeah, that was good.
No words had to be said. I like this better than Joe showing up at the end. I really didn't like that kind of laugh thing. I was just kind of like,
well, that made MJF look like a punk.
It did.
Yeah. Now this more looked like MJF was deciding, hey, I don't want to tag with you. But it was also, you can read into it like, I do need your help, but I don't want to defend my title against you. 3 hours. Okay, I said 4, so that was close. But I it takes 4 when you got screaming kids in the back and you have to stop 3 times to go to the bathroom on the way. So that's my family. We got a Blackpool Combat Club promo with Moxley and Wheeler, and Mox says, I knew it. I've been getting calls all week telling me I was too hard on Orange Cassidy, let him off the hook. But this isn't about a belt. It's about the laws of nature. The business is a jungle, and we're the dominant predators. What example am I setting for young Wheeler here if I don't beat the ever-loving piss out of you? What example are you setting for Hook? You can just say anything you want. And is HR going to step in and save you? And he said, the minute we land at LAX, it's gang warfare. Bring whoever you want to bring. Hook, young boy, please take notes if your fingers still work. And then Wheeler says, you might think you're tough, but you crossed the wrong crew. See you in Cali, pretty boy. Freaking love this. Especially Wheeler. Wheeler was great. Loved it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, and you don't always like Mox promos.
The HR line, I was kind of like, okay.
was that a shot at Jungle Boy?
I don't know, but it was one of those things where I was like, let's just keep it to fighting, guys. We're gonna fight in the ring.
Yeah.
I like Mox promos. I like them better than Yuta promos, and I thought both were fine, perfectly good here.
Yuta had a good line. I don't know if someone wrote that for him, if he came up with it for himself, but I popped. We got a Wardlow video package. This was good too.
Yes.
He said, my first 3 years here were living hell. At a foot on my neck, I felt the worst thing a man could feel, which is wasted potential. I felt worthless, and it's because of one man, MJF. You won't know when, you won't know where, but by the time you find out, it's gonna be too late. The days of the devil running AEW are coming to an end. Beautiful. They showed footage while he was talking and all the stuff MJF did to him and all the stuff they did together. It was good. I don't know what the end game is, but
well, no, that's what I'm getting into. I'm like, boy, this all feels like we're getting set up here.
I mean, I thought crossed my mind, maybe he's the devil, and I think that's the idea. Like, I think they're, they want you to have a bunch of different ideas about who the devil's going to be, and then I think whoever it actually is going to be a shocker, even though it may not be a shock.
There's only one guy the devil can't be. It can't be Tony Khan.
Oh God. Yeah.
It was me, MJF. It was me all along.
Oh my God. And that would actually make sense in the story.
Yes, because the whole War for 24 type thing. Oh, you think you're gonna leave me? I'm gonna show you the true power in AEW.
Called him a fucking mark, in LA. And
oh Lord.
Cost him a $200 $1 billion TV deal by dragging down the television ratings with his stupid bromance.
Oh dear Lord! Please don't
No,
let it
oh
be
God!
Tony
Now that you
Khan.
put that in my head,
I know.
yeah,
When I thought of it, it scared me.
yeah. I mean, I've seen everything. Punk, Vince,
Jack
like
Perry. I've seen.
Jack Perry would be interesting.
I've seen. Yeah, Britt.
I mean, and then the obvious one is MJF, and I mean, it could be like
Yeah.
I think the idea tonight was to show you that it's
Cole.
not
Yeah.
Cole. I mean, Cole's another kind of obvious one, but yeah, it's and yeah, that was the vibe I got. But I imagine MJF's probably going to defend the belt against Wardlow at some point, soon.
My God, that's Serpentico. No.
What? Under the mask, under the devil mask.
Yes.
All right. Next, we got Anna Jay and Red Velvet, and this was oh no,
Anna Jay and Red Velvet.
or sorry, Julia Hart.
Julia Hart.
Hang
all
on.
blondes look alike to you.
I'm trying to. There was a video package. You know what? I missed a video package earlier. It was right before the Jericho Omega video. I just want to bring it up because it was freaking awesome. It was Don Callis, and it was
yes,
highlights from the video game, and they just they shot the guys in the video game look like Takeshita. They showed up.
The irony is there is a game. It's not the Sega game. It's a Yakuza game that has all the New Japan guys in it as characters. It has
really?
Naito,
okay,
and Naito, Yano, Okada. I believe Tanahashi's also in it as well. I don't play the Yakuza games, but I've seen clips of it. So, but this is a Yakuza knockoff, and they're using this in the AEW videos for this. So I kind of laughed at that, but I thought it was well done. Yeah.
It was real good. They had promos from Callis and Kenny Omega, and
oh, is Callis. It okay? Thank you, Dave. Yakuza is the same series as Like a Dragon, so okay. So it all fits. Okay, cool.
Callis said, "We're unconstrained by AEW rules. We'll do what you can't even fathom. This isn't a video game. This has consequences. Those consequences will be paid in pain and blood." Kenny says he's been beaten and broken. Jericho says he's equally desperate to see them gone. And Omega, right at the end, calls it the Like a Dragon street fight. And that's it wasn't until the end of this that I figured out that it was this was a promo for the video game, but it was also promoting the street fight. And this is good corporate synergy. This is the way I like to
I don't know. It doesn't have Karen Jarrett yelling with a bucket of blood on her. I mean, that's gonna be a high cross to. Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that earlier because I was I was really impressed by that. But anyways, back to this Julia Hart Red Velvet match. The crowd wasn't into this, but I thought the work was good. Julia was basically wrestling in lingerie.
Yes,
I guess that's her outfit now. Tony Schiavone called her weird and spooky, but that she's a great athlete. Excalibur brought up that Velvet's father was a pro boxer, and Taz mentioned all the times on AEW Dark we saw her doing body shots, and not the kind of body shots that you'd want to see Red Velvet.
You didn't need to explain that, Paul.
I just came out.
Nobody thinks anybody's doing Jello shots off of Red Velvet.
I would have been better than this match.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. The match was good.
I like Red Velvet a lot.
Yeah,
she's
a level above most of the women here.
Yes, I mean, she does good stuff. Her leg lariat's one of my favorite moves, although now she's doing it with the brace, which makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
She's one of my, she was one of the few people I started following on social media because it's just it's one of those wholesome content type things.
Oh, nice.
She liked to do a lot of dancing on there. She's a very good dancer, as you can see. But no, I've always liked her. I just when they brought her in to replace Brandy in the Jade feud.
Yeah.
I really thought they dropped the ball by not following up on that for a while. And then she was stuck in the baddies, and she's the best thing about that for the most part. Although I do like Layla Gray and her potential, but it was but Jade Cargill wasn't it. But that whole thing was such a mess of a angle because it's 1 week they like each other, 1 week everybody hates each other, 1 week they like each other, that kind of a thing. I'm a little nervous about the knee brace. As a man who has a knee brace and was using a knee brace for a while, Yeah,
and
you
she's
need.
on the wrong side of 30 too.
She
So.
needs. She needs to strap that thing in because it was slipping, and they were making note of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's a welcome presence. I like her a lot. As soon as they go, she's coming back, and she's in a match with someone we're pushing a lot harder. I went, oh, okay, never mind. She's losing this one, so we'll have to wait for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like her.
They announced during this match that on Rampage we're going to see FTR against Commander and Vikingo, and on Collision, Rush and Jalistico against the Workhorsemen, and I wrote Strong Darby and Edge, but I'm pretty sure it's Sting Darby and Edge against Lance Archer and the Righteous. So those two shows sound like can't miss. They pointed out here that it's Julia's 22nd.
Are you not here for Jake Roberts and the Righteous being together?
No.
Okay.
After I saw Vincent get his head put into Dutch's ass, and that killed the Righteous for me. So it was Julie's 22nd birthday, and Taz said that the House of Black bought her a black cake with spider webs on it or something. They were talking about Red Velvet's cardio maybe being off because she's been off for so long. Velvet was selling her injured knee. Julia was stomping on her, and then she went to the top, hit the moonsault, and got the win. I thought it was a perfectly good match. I mean,
it was cromulent.
Other than the two squash matches, this was, the quote unquote worst match on the show, but it was fine.
This was not offensive in any way. I thought
over delivered.
I agree.
Yeah. Julia attacked Velvet after the match, and she put on her Heartless move, and Sky Blue made the save. Although she didn't really make a save, she just walked out there.
She walked.
Yeah,
get into this because this is gonna lead into my rant.
She walks out there. She doesn't get physical at all, but Julia lets Red Velvet go. They stood at each other. She just stood there, and Julia was kind of like looking at her, and she's like I think she was looking to see if she had missed. And then she determined that she didn't. And then they started making mean faces at each other. And at one point, the camera was on Julia, and she was cracking a smile because, they're playing the staring game. And then out comes Willow and Statlander. So now it's 4-on-1 for baby faces over the heel. And Statlander got in between Sky and Julia. And then Willow went to check on Red Velvet, and Julia bailed. And as she bailed, her music played, which it's funny because usually in WWE, when something like this happens, the babyface's music, they would have played Willow's music or Stats or something, but they played Julia's, which I like because she won the match.
Yeah, but they also, I think you missed a beat here because they also did that when Chris.
I was almost thinking Sky was going to turn again.
Well, that's what they were almost hinting because Sky gets in front of Chris and starts to turn towards her. And I'm like, okay, here it comes. Those two missed Chris. And then Willow's left going, what the hell's going on type of a thing.
Yeah. But it didn't happen.
Yeah. And it was, unfortunately, you have Chris Statlander and Sky Blue, who are not expressing any emotion whatsoever. No, and so you're just kind of left going, okay, what? They're just kind of looking at each other. And it's not really tension that's building. It's like all three look bored right now. And you're just like,
I think they have no idea what they're supposed to be doing.
They think they have an idea and they kind of want to set something up, but they're not certain about it, I think. And they don't know what to do here. And what's going to happen is, Sky Blue's eventually going to join the House of Black again, probably.
Which
they're probably just gonna cut out. Yes, they're gonna cut that out. They're gonna say the hell with this, or it's gonna be one of these swerve things where it's like, well, we were hinting Willow and Sky Blue, but it's actually Chris Statlander.
Yeah, she's in the House of Black.
And at that point, I would take my remote and I'd throw it at my television, and I would never watch TV again, probably, because that's just the dumbest idea I've ever heard. But yes.
Okay, now as perplexing as that was, we went to the regrettable, these are Excalibur's words, RJ City.
Yes.
And as soon as I see RJ City, I'm thinking, okay, we already saw Toni. So was this Danhausen? Because those are the two guys he's associated with, right? Or two acts he's associated with. If we've seen RJ City in the last 6 months, it's either Toni Storm or Danhausen.
Correct.
He's got a type. Right? When you associate someone with RJ City, you're telling the audience
It's time
something.
for the wackiness. Yes.
Yes. And out comes a blonde woman who I've never seen before. And I don't know who she is, but they tell me right away, to their credit, this is Mariah May. Oh, I've heard a lot about Mariah May. I've heard
As
great
have
things
I.
about Mariah May.
Yes.
I've never seen Mariah May. I've literally never seen her. I've
I
never
did
seen
not know that.
match.
Okay.
I've never seen a promo. I've never seen a photo.
I have one up on you then. That's
although
awesome. Okay,
I will
continue.
say, like, this is exactly what I pictured in my head, because I basically was told she's Tiffany Stratton. You know, and that's, you know, and I mean, but she was there before Tiffany. So if one of them's copying the other one, which I don't think is the case, but it would actually be not what people probably think. But anyways, she's excited to be here. And RJ City says, "What are your intentions?" She says, "I've wrestled all over the world. I just came from Stardom. I'm excited to be a part of the women's division." And then she says, "And I'm a big fan of your work because you know Toni Storm." And then she all of a sudden switches, and now she's a Toni Storm stalker. And she's doing the exact same thing that you brought up on Twitter, Mickie James and Trish Stratus. I will go even further back. Tori and Trish, at Sable. You know, and Tori came from Japan as well. That's why I thought of Tori, and I'd never seen Tori before, you know, and I had seen Mickie James. So, you know, because she had been in TNA. And then RJ said, "Oh, Toni just left," and he said, "But I can introduce you if you want." And she's all happy that she's going to get introduced to Toni Storm. And I was just baffled, because I mean, I've heard great things about this Mariah May. I've heard she could be the one that turns this women's division around, and she could be the one they build around. And here they introduce her in a comedy segment and position her as a comedy stalker.
Paul, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
Because I have people in my mentions telling me that this was an awesome segment, that this was great because we got Mariah involved in an angle where, you know, Tony's over with this character. I saw that, oh, look, she came out and clearly stated her intentions. That's a good thing. Look, let's all stop having low expectations for a while. Let's back up here, kids, because you can do anything in professional wrestling. In terms of introducing people, in terms of building a star, in terms of making somebody a big deal. Now, I've also had people in my mentions in the past, Paul Fontaine, tell me that, you know, there's no such thing as casuals, that we book for, that AEW is a federation booked for professional wrestling fans. And as professional wrestling fans, a lot of us listen to podcasts, and a lot of us have been listening to various news sources, including one Uncle Dave, who tell us that this Mariah May is a star. She's in Stardom. She's a star. She's a big deal. That's a big get. She's going to be huge. Priming the pump there. Now, I went out and watched a little bit of Mariah May. I like her. I like Stardom. When she was doing in Stardom, she was doing some funny stuff. I get it. She was doing comedy stuff. Okay. Where is the imagination in this? Because as the old deodorant commercial used to say, Paul, you only get one chance, or you only, what is it? You don't get a second chance to make.
You don't get a second chance to make a right guard.
Yes, right guard. Thank you. Us olds.
I get a kickback from them.
This is your introduction to us insider wrestling fans who they book for, of Mariah May.
We don't get footage.
Are you kidding me with this? When you see this, does that say star? Or does that say comedy mid-card geek? Let's see if she does a few ha-has in the sketches. And then you know what I'm going to have the people in the mentions go is, well, once she's in there and people see how she works, then she'll get over. It's like, no, you prime the pump. You condition us that we should care about new people in your company because they're a big deal and you're going to want to draw to watch them. It's a television product, as I say over and over again. Give me vignettes. Give me awesome music videos. Give me promo packages. Give me something. Give me just Mariah May is coming. Like some half-assed Emelina WWE. Say, give me something to want to see more of this.
Or you could have had Red Velvet like talking about, her return or whatever, and then say, like she's wrestling, we don't know who, and then you introduce Mariah May, and then they have a match.
Well, okay, I don't need a squash match. I don't need a 50-50. That's somebody. What do you want to see her squash match? I go eventually, but before she's there, I want like 3 weeks of stuff, and then you build her, and then you announce she's debuting tonight on Dynamite in a match. Okay, great. I want to do the basic building blocks that this industry does for. I mean, if they had introduced,
look at what WWE's done with Jade.
If WWE had introduced Kurt Hennig as just some dude who was a fan of another dude.
Well, and to be fair,
half the guy that he was.
The two examples that we use, Tori and Mickey James. I mean, eventually they became stars. So I mean, it
took a long time. That angle did not turn. Yeah. It took rebranding on both of them.
Well, the Trish and Mickey angle actually was all right. I mean, they got to a WrestleMania match, and
the matches were good. The angles were fine. They built it correct. But yes, as Jason puts in here, do what WWE did with Pillman Jr. Yeah. Except for maybe the end of this week's.
Or even, you know what? You could have even had like showing they do those Toni vignettes, and then you see her, like if they want to do this stalker thing, like they show her and maybe she's at
Easter eggs where she's in the background or something like that. Sure. I could go with, yes, you have an entire world of entertainment and stuff for which to build these people. That is the magic. That's what I love about professional wrestling, how it has evolved. As opposed to, well, I watch wrestling for the matches. It's like, well, that's great. That's not what this business is anymore, kid. Let's.
I assume there's a reason why they needed to do this right now. She's probably going to get involved at Full Gear.
Yes, she's going to win the title for Toni Storm. That is the angle that's going to happen. She's going to
cost her,
and she's going to be maybe, but she's going to be Toni Storm's red shirt in one way or another. Yeah, I think,
and then eventually leading to probably next year at Wembley, the two of them against each other would be the long-term thing.
Yeah, but still, it's like, okay, you could have done. I mean, I guess you could have done all that and then had her turn and help Toni or cost Toni or whatever with all those vignettes or something. But it's just one of those things where I'm just like, if this is the plan, then just have her debut on Full Gear and interfere.
Can I say something now though?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Everything you said is right. So I'm not going to just cut you off and say, Jeff, you're wrong. But what I will say is that none of this matters.
I agree.
Unless they it all depends on what they do next. And so but they dug themselves a hole that they've got to get out of now.
Let's see how it plays out.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Fontaine.
Even if they even if they had debuted her perfectly, we'd still say that. Yeah, you want to give yourself you want to give her the best chance she has of getting over.
Okay, here's the problem here, and let me just put it down to a Cliff Notes logline version.
Okay,
you thought you were getting a leading person here, and you're getting a supporting cast member.
You're getting another body.
You're getting another body, and that's just it. And she'll give us a few laughs here and there. That'll be great.
Is that? I mean, I literally I don't really know much about her other than I've been told she's a pretty good worker for experience level, and she comes off as a star.
Yes,
but she does comedy? Like that's what she does?
I wouldn't say that. I meant in like certain promos and stuff like that.
Okay.
Comedy. But I mean, in the matches, she comes off as a star.
Okay.
The Tiffany Stratton comparison was apt.
Okay. And Tiffany, I mean, she's not all comedy. I mean, she started that way, she's a flaky character who's serious on screen. That's a difference. I think she's really good in the ring. And I don't know if that's.
I haven't seen enough of Mariah May to tell you if she's that good in the ring or not. But I mean, Tiffany's a gymnast more than a wrestler. Let's put it that way.
The other person that we hear a lot about is Julia, and there's some rumors about her going on right now. Like her contract's up soon, and she's going to want to go to AEW or WWE probably. I have seen her in a few matches, and the matches I've seen, I thought she was good. I've heard she's great, so maybe I'm just not watching the right matches, which is
I've seen
entirely possible.
Julia's thing is she's going to need workers who will want to work stiff.
Yeah, that'll, and the matches I saw weren't that stiff, so they're probably not the best matches to
If she
see.
works with horsewomen, she'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we get to our main event, and it was Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. And Tony Schiavone told us we're going to stay with this match as long as we need to. So I double checked to make sure my PVR was taping, and it was. It's now set for 15 minutes, so I'm never going to miss an overrun again, at least until they go past 15 minutes. Tony Khan told Excalibur that next week it's going to be Mox and Yuta against Orange Cassidy and Hook. So that is also going to be in LA or in Ontario, same as that street fight that they're doing. So a couple of big matches for next week. Tony Schiavone brought up all the people wanting a shot at MJF. Crowd was super into Mark Briscoe, just going nuts. Jay was just doing his standard move. There was a spot right before the break that I absolutely loved. Jay tossed Mark Briscoe outside, and then he teased a dive, and then like his knee gives out. So the ref is checking on him, and while the ref's checking on him, Juice and the Guns just started doing a 3-on-1 on Mark Briscoe outside the ring. So that was awesome. And that basically took you through the commercial break. So they come back in, and the crowd's super hot when they came back in. They're trading shops, and at one point, Briscoe just knocked him down, and Jay is like selling it like he's dead. I keep saying Jay, and like I'm talking about Briscoe, so I should probably like say it's Jay White, obviously. So the crowd was super into it. At one point, Juice is calling for the Kiwi Crusher, and I'm like, I don't even know if, like, I assumed that was one of his moves because he's from New Zealand, but I don't remember ever seeing it in this company. But
Juice just yelling out moves. I love it.
No, but he hit it, and I got a 2, and then the crowd started chanting USA because I guess they figured out that he's from New Zealand because of a Kiwi Crusher. And the fans are chanting, "Let's go Briscoe." Jay White took out his knee with a chop block, and he went for the Blade Runner, but Briscoe countered with an exploder, took Jay down with a lariat, called for the Jay Driller, and Jay White reversed it with a backdrop, hit a sleeper suplex, brainbuster. Mark fights back with redneck kung fu. Then Jay hit another sleeper suplex, a hammerlock DDT, and the Blade Runner, and he got the win. And this match was incredible. It was a pay-per-view quality match. Would have been, one of the better matches on most pay-per-views that I've seen. It did
the intended goal of making me think Mark Briscoe might find his way into the Full Gear main event.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't, but you actually believe
he didn't. But you could suspend belief for a few moments,
right? Like there were points in this match where the crowd bought that Mark Briscoe was going to win, whereas like in the opener, there's not 1 second in that match that you thought Daniel Garcia was going to win.
They could have gone a bit harder into it actually if they wanted to. Like have
he could have he did the froggy bow one time. He could have probably got another one off of that. Maybe had I don't like it, but they could have had, maybe get a pin and then have one of the Guns pull him off or something. I don't like that.
Have the Guns accidentally hit Jay instead, and now he rolls him up. Here comes the pin type of thing, or he screws it up for him. Yeah. They could have done that, but no. Look, Mark Briscoe is such a welcome presence on TV for me that I adored this match.
And I'm seeing this. I want to see Mark Briscoe, win a title at some point in this company. And I know like they were positioning him at one point to win a Ring of Honor title, but I could easily see him with the TNT title or the international title.
Yeah.
At some point. So he gets the win, and immediately MJF's music starts playing. Excuse me. Mark Briscoe disappears, and the Bullet Club Gold is like they're prepping, they're waiting, they're staring at the screen like idiot heels, and MJF comes from behind. And the way they shot it, you knew what was going to happen, and that no problem with that. Like, seeing something before it happens is actually a good thing. And he lays out Juice and the Guns with his ring, and then he goes face to face with White. And he went after him, and Jay White just took off with the belt. And Max grabs a mic, and he says, "Look at me, Jay White. I hope you've had fun playing dress up as the top guy. Well, playtime's almost over. You're going to have to get in the ring with a generational talent, the real champion." I should point out he's wearing like a shirt, like in the old style of, those Mike Tyson shirts. And it's like, it says Maxwell Jacob Friedman, generational talent. And he says, when I won that title, I made a promise to go down as the greatest champion of all time, or I'm going to die trying. That's what you're dealing with. You're going to have to kill me to beat me. I'm not just fighting for me. I'm fighting for everyone on this journey with me from day one, for Adam Cole, for you at home, for everyone in the arena. I'm not just a scumbag. I'm their scumbag. And he says, and I've got one question. When I'm the only one standing between you and immortality, will you be the first man to pull that goddamn trigger? And I'm like, man, he laid it on a little thick here. Was that just me? Or like, again, he's turning a corner or he's setting us up? I'm not sure which.
I don't care because I really liked this.
Okay. So you're just playing along that he's a fighting babyface now?
Yeah. Well, this is, I mean, the one bad part about all this is that MJF should have the belt. Stealing the belt is a stupid thing. It always is. The champion should always have the belt with him. I'm sorry. It's just one of those narrative crutches. It's like, all right, you're not the champ. You're just holding a prop. Stop it. Give him the belt back and let him have his championship hat. But this is the closest MJF is ever going to get to being Dusty Rhodes, this segment. Because this was pure jumping in and having all the horsemen run into his elbow type of a clearinghouse thing. In fact, I actually want him to be... The only thing that this was missing is MJF should have walked up behind Juice and kicked him in the balls. And then the other two should have gotten punched in the face when they turned around and realized what was going on. Because you could then bring in, I'm still a scumbag type of thing.
You know what he could have done is done the double thing with the guns on either side. And then Juice turns around and he gets laid out with with MJF's own left hand of God.
I loved this promo, and I think dude, trust me, I am on board with that this could all just be one big swerve, and he's the heel, and I'm fine with that.
Or
I'm here for the ride.
Like he could just be this massive Dusty Rhodes babyface, and and they could do it either way. And I think it could work.
But I really liked this a lot. I thought this was a nice ending too. I liked, but
the show wasn't over.
Yeah.
Because the lights go out, and I'm like, House of Black? No, can't be. And,
Sabu?
No, and they go backstage, and the people in black are attacking the Acclaimed, and I counted there's 4 of them. And earlier in the evening, Roderick Strong says, later on tonight, you're going to see who I really am. So I think the idea is it's Strong, it's the Kingdom, but who's the 4th? Might be Adam Cole.
Well, that's the mystery thing.
Yeah.
Although I only counted 3 people beating people up.
Did you?
Well, I thought this was the Kingdom.
Someone will correct me.
Yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought there were only 3 people doing the beating back there. But
if it was 4, then maybe the 4th is
I
Adam
couldn't
Cole.
draw my eyes away from the.
Oh, and I didn't mention who they were attacking. Oh, yeah, I did say they were attacking the Acclaimed.
You said they were attacking the Acclaimed, but while they're attacking the Acclaimed, Chekhov's cubicle over here by the door. Which I swear that was Mookie. I don't know if it was or not, but I think that was Mookie in the office there in that shoddy little desk thing, watching from behind. But okay, if there were 4, there were 4. That's good. It's better.
But one of them might not have been that physical. Like
it's better if it's better for the story if there were 4. So I'm here for that.
So they throw Anthony Bowens through a glass window. I think it was Bowens.
They threw Caster.
Okay, it was Caster. Okay, so that makes more sense. And the feed went out, and then the devil is on the screen. And keep in mind, MJF's in the ring. So they're trying to tell you, well, it's not MJF. But it could be MJF. Matt says it's the art guy.
It's the art guy in the office, the guy that dates Hater. Yeah, okay.
So it could be MJF, because it was on the video. I mean, he could have recorded the video, but it also could be Britt. It could be Adam Cole. It could be someone else entirely. It could be Tony Khan.
It could, but here's the issue here is that Max or MJF comes in there, because I don't want to confuse with Max Caster.
Yeah.
This felt so contrived.
Yeah.
This felt like he's trying to. Yeah,
he goes to the back. Yeah. He runs back to check on the Acclaimed. He's in literal tears. And I wrote here.
No, he's not.
Him. Well, it looked like he was trying to get tears.
He was trying. It felt like,
no, what did they do? Oh my God.
Well, no, this was Marlon Brando hamming it up. He wasn't checking on the safety of any of those. Are you okay? Or what? It's oh my God. Oh, ye fates. arm and head up like Shawshank after Andy Dufresne gets out of.
Horrible actor or
Yes.
does it give two shits about
It's either a horrible actor or he's a great douchebag. I don't know which just yet.
Yeah.
And
but he's
that's
our douchebag.
Yeah, but I swear, but if it's the latter, that's where I come into my problem with Joe, because Joe should see right through that crap, to be honest.
Well, the other thing, I mean, it could be Joe, right?
Could be Joe.
Yeah, I mean, that would be weird, but so Joe shows up. And
well, let's put it this way: Joe lost a lot of weight that first time he had that devil mask on.
True. Joe says, "Looks like you've run out of friends, champ," and he just laughed and walked away. And I kind of like that. Nice little line from Joe, but he punked out MJF. So, but you know who else it kind of reminded me of, and you mentioned Dusty. Like, this is the kind of thing Dusty would, try to help his friends, and his friends would get beat up, and Dusty shows up too late.
Of course.
The only thing he's missing is a hell of a lot of blood. But yeah, nice cliffhanger to end the show, I thought, and I think we're getting somewhere with this.
I was waiting for That's Real Glass, Cry Me a River.
Oh God. So gun to your head. Who's the devil?
It's the combination of Britt and Cole.
That's what I think. Like, I think it's Britt, but working with Cole.
Yeah.
People in the chat, let me know what you think. Just type it. I'll point it out to the people in the audio. Jason points out between MJF not taking the belt back and doing a stare down with White in the backstage segment, MJF looked bad. I could see that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what people think. Like, I'm seeing more and more Britt. Like, that. And the thing is, we have not seen Britt. Like, and that to me, that's key. Like, we have not seen Britt in a long time. No explanation. The last time I think she was in a match was it Wembley? No, she had a match
Penn
right
State,
after.
I thought. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it was like shortly after Wembley, but it's been at least 2 months.
Yes.
And I think that Penn State match, it was just like a quick match, no follow up.
Yeah, it was like a 30-second squash, and then they did something else. Yeah.
Cool might. Oh, so Cole's clueless, and Cole will end up siding with his wife and friends and turn back to evil. That's possible. Where Britt's doing this behind his back.
All right. That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
No, the people in black were Rebel, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker.
I like this. I like what Jonathan's saying here. The one who threw Caster through the windows sure seemed to be built like Wardlow to me.
They're well, that's the interesting thing.
That could be the fourth.
Well, see, I think it's interesting because it's not the same people every time. At least on screen. Now, once they reveal who's who, it will be. But you remember, the 4 people who attacked Jay White were all very small.
One of them was clearly Roddy.
None of them, because he was wearing a neck brace too.
These three could have been Roddy in the Kingdom.
But Wardlow's big, and he would have never fit in that. But like, if this were Wardlow and FTR or something like that one,
Yeah.
But this looked like the Kingdom to me, to be honest with you.
Kingdom, and then the fourth could have been Cole.
Yeah.
Cole could. I mean, I'm sure he could physically throw somebody through a window. But if built like Wardlow, that's not Cole. I starred your question here, Matthew. So we'll ask this question before we go. We're a little over time here, so and it's a good question to start with or to finish with. Question for the end of the show: did they change the show formula in a substantial way to make this improvement, or did they just get lucky with the ingredients this week?
I think it's column A and column B. I think they made a conscious effort to say, okay, we need to lay off a little bit of the shtick, and we need to lay off of the comedy somewhat. But I think they kind of repeated a lot of what they did last week in terms of, MJF has to be on throughout this show, and he has to be in that first segment because he's our champ and he's our draw. So I think it's a little bit of A and B.
I kind of, that was my first thought. But I will say probably a little bit more of column A. I think they probably saw last week and saw what they had planned for this week and realized, okay, I don't like where we're going. We need to change some things. We need to get back to what people liked about the show when it first started, match, some good promos, but focusing on the in-ring and still progressing our storyline. So you couldn't completely go away from what they did last week. They have some ongoing storylines they have to continue with. But I also think that, the stuff that they did, I mean, it wasn't perfect. We talked about a few things that didn't quite work, but it also worked. But I also think that the last part here that Matt says, did they just get lucky with the ingredients this week? What is the expression? Good fortune is where, or luck is
where opportunity meets
preparation.
Preparation,
Something about preparation. Yeah. Like, so I think that they put themselves in a better position to have a good show by focusing on what they're good at. Does that make sense? So
yeah, but I think everybody on this Dynamite card, in terms of the winners, I think they're all going to be on Full Gear. So I think they moved everything forward, including, okay, Joe's leaving the ROH TV title to team with Max probably for those ROH tag team titles.
Yeah,
and I think Julia Hart's probably going to end up being on this Full Gear show. I think that's going to be the women's thing. I mean, I don't know.
It'd be good if they had more than one match.
Yeah. That's true. She 0 hour.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, I could probably see a tag team match or something, or Julia against Sky Blue, maybe something like that. But, Julia challenging.
You know what? You know what? It's going to be a tag
Julia
match.
Stat.
It's going to be all four of these people.
Yeah, it might be Julia and Stat, and then you'll have like Sky at ringside, and maybe she costs Statlander the title.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. But yeah, no, I liked what they did, and just more of this, like, for me, like, I thinking back, and I've seen a lot of people, especially after last week, going back to how they originally did things, and looking at the shows 3 years ago and looking at them now, and it's like a completely different show. And this week was more back to what they were. And I actually thought Collision had a lot of similarities to early Dynamites. Like we said, it wasn't a great show or whatever, but the opening, like the first 40 minutes of Collision, was chaos in a good way.
They want on Collision. They want the Nitro, environment type of thing. They want you to feel that everything's out of control because everybody's coming out and beating everybody up at the same time. That they're going really hard on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Good show. Good show from us. Good show from them. So, Jeff, get your plugs in.
At Crap Game 13, as price for flight on here can tell you, that's where you go to tell me I'm wrong when I'm not. I do a show on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network called Shake Them Ropes this week. We'll see what Chris thought of this, and go over anything that's happened in WWE as well. I hope to be here next week. There's a chance I might go and see Dynamite live in Ontario.
Ooh. Okay.
It's a little pricey, but I might, but I'll let you know that. And and I'm on here. So
if Jeff's not here, we'll try to find a suitable replacement. I think in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, I won't be here on
Jeff will not be here in 2 weeks. Send me some DMs who you want to see on the show, and I'll see what I can do if I can get a replacement for Jeff. For me, if you haven't heard the show I did with Garrett, it should be in your audio feed under what did he call it? Broken News. So you can check that out, and as well the show I did with Ryan Frederick previewing the big UFC show this weekend. And I'll be back next week with another new show, and I'll be back here next week with Jeff or someone else. So tune in next week and find out who that is. So for Jeff, I've been Paul, and this has been the Dynamite Show.
It'll be Kevin Ely.